Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another one of Grubby's amazing games. He's released this awesome replay pack that right now myself and my good friend CIAChris are casting. How's it going, CIA?
It's alright. Love to see some more of Grubby's replay, as we do have that replay pack, which we'll be casting a number of games from it. Some long ones, some short ones, we'll have to see. And yeah, looking forward to this game. PvZ, standard. There's definitely a Forge Fast expand coming out, but we do have in our top left corner, Red Protoss, Mr. Grubby.
And his opponent, definitely not somebody to be underestimated, coming now from just about a month ago, a win of the North American qualifiers for the World Cyber Games. It is WiseOldSenex in the blue trunks.
Yeah, Root, upcoming team. Well, not upcoming team, but back at Root Gaming instead of Complexity. I'm loving to see what their players can do this year. And yeah, definitely got some extremely good talent with names such as Cats. Oh, love him. And Destiny, hate him or love him, he's still
Very well-known person, a lot of personality
yeah.
there. And definitely extremely entertaining. And also, one really cool thing, too, is that I'm super excited to see Vibe just because kind of my introduction to StarCraft wasn't doing the FRB Grand Tournament, and he's the winner of that. And in, like, pretty convincing fashion. Like, huge spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, giving you 3, 2, 1 to pause for spoilers. He ends up taking the finals against Ganzi, I believe it was, in, like, 3-0. He just, like, crushes him. It was very, very surprising.
Yeah, that's no small feat against Ganzi, especially 3-0ing him in a finals of a tournament. That's demoralizing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. But yeah, definitely. So how long ago was that then?
It was a couple of months ago right now. I've been unfortunately very bad about uploading things to my YouTube and too busy doing live casts and things with Zeke and stuff. So sorry to all the loyal fans who are out there on YouTube. This is obviously going to be up on my channel, and so stay tuned for more content.
Definitely do that. And we do see Nexus first out of Grubby, going to drop that forward down. We should see Cannon. We don't want to see Gateway unless, because delaying this expansion does cause an early-ish pull, but we have Lings out on the field, so this expansion will not be delayed a ton, but there's the pylon down. And you've got to be really careful about going for this whole blocking the expansion thing, because you're going to force Lings, and if you don't have the proper defenses, if the cannon's not up in time, then you're absolutely boned with Lings in your face. But it looks like it will be timed out perfectly.
Oh, unfortunately, with that little bit of rallying, it does look like it will be, just because right now the Lings, they ran right into the front of the natural expansion, and now they are going to check for this one probe, which is a really good decision. But I think that, like, the pylon had only just been dropped as they were getting onto the field. They might have been able to sneak in like a very, very small window just before it finished, but now Grubby will have all of his defenses up and ready at the natural, so doesn't really need to worry about the early Zergling pressure.
Yeah, all these one cannon defenses. But no, definitely. And we do see that probe of Grubby moving in was going to be taken out by the Queen. And this is from the previous patch where the range of the Queen is back down. It's back down to a... No, I'm not even going to make a balance joke. I'm not going to do it. People will be like, Queens needed the balance. No, they did. And I'm sure it was a very good decision. But anyway, just stating.
Obviously, you should go and tell the Terrans that it was an extremely good decision. But anyway, so yeah, it's actually really interesting to me that Grubby decided to upload this. This is a pretty recent replay pack, which implies to me this is an extremely good game that we can be looking forward to if he decided, like, you know what, it's from an older patch. I still want people to see this, though. This was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So we see the natural expansion. 4th Vibe coming up with the drones transfer. No gas is taken just yet, so he's going gasless until probably around 45-ish drones. We'll have to see, and then he'll drop those gases. But, that's just, as we said, standard. But we do have that Zealot moving out across the field. 1 kill already, and he's just going to be forcing a couple of Lings. We'll have to see.
Well, and speaking of gases, this is really interesting coming out of Grubby, as right now he only has 1 up and running, which definitely implies to me he wants to put on maybe a little bit of early pressure, or even go for a super fast third base, as he is setting up that 1 pylon right down in the bottom left-hand corner, just because really you want additional gas if you're going for any kind of tech. If you want to go for Robo, if you want to go for Stargate, you need sentries, you need it just to produce the units that tech path allows you to. And so it's very interesting to me. In fact, is right now we see 4 gateways for a total of 5 going up right now in his base.
Yeah, we may see another 2 more if he wants to go for the 7-gate all-in, as he does only have that 1 gas, which is an extremely abusive technique that you could go, but it looks like we're just going to see the 5-gate, and it's going to be the 5-gate pressure. And we do see that the Zealot moving in, going to work down on that hatchery, but the Queen will pop in, trying to do a bit more damage, and that will be cleaned up. But he did force around 12 lings, so...
Yeah, and right now there's 10 drones being produced right now as WiseOldSenex is trying to catch back up in that economy. He has a small drone lead right now, but nowhere near as high as he would like at this stage of the game. Right now there's also the +1 attack coming down out of that forge, which will be a really big deal as this mass Zealot style ends up hitting the field. Obviously being able to 2-shot rather than 3-shot Zerglings will make a huge difference in any upcoming engagements.
Interesting that WiseOldSenex in the center of the map pulled all those Zerglings to try and take out that single probe. He saw that the Zealot was there, could have taken out the Zealot, and I would have gone for a Zealot over a probe any day. Yeah, pesky probe, you just put 1 Zergling on them instead of 5, and it'll slowly catch it down. But no, we do see all the gases being taken for Grubby, which is an interesting way to go about it. Like, he doesn't want to go for some super early tech. Zealots decent against Zerglings, so it's a very interesting style that he has decided to do this game, but definitely no all-in at all.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit, I feel like this is kind of a change of plans, and that he'd originally been planning on going for this huge 5-gate attack, and then he ended up losing the Stalker right out in the front of WiseOldSenex's natural, and then in the third he lost the Zealot, which kind of like seriously put a crimp on that plan. So now he's kind of transitioning out of it with all the gases going down, also a robotics facility.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to be supply box. He's not even building a pylon at the moment. That is Grubby. Pylon's finally going down, and this will be detrimental to his unit count, as the cooldown for warp gates is finally up, and he's got another at least 20 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, having a really major supply block at like 9 minutes and 30 seconds, definitely not what you want to have going on for you. Though he is right now putting on a lot of pressure in this natural, as he's managing to probably even kill a queen, killing off a bunch of drones as they're forced to be pulled off the line. However, the roaches are now spawning, and that will definitely be the end of all of these zealots.
Yeah, we still do see the supply going to start to move in towards the WiseOldSenex's favor as the roach production continues. We're at 79-ish supply for me at least. And for WiseOldSenex, we're at around 86. Going to clean up those zealots. Going to get a couple of drone kills, but the pressure will continue with his store for some sentries. But that'll easily be cleaned up by those roaches, especially on creep. Should be able to, hunt them down. But we'll have to see.
Well, yeah, right now Grubby, though, is deciding to try to kind of break this stalemate he has going on a little bit, because he obviously isn't going to be able to just kind of kick in the front door. So instead he's going for both Blink and a Warp Prism, which will allow him to put on a ton of multi-pronged harassment, warping directly into his opponent's base, or just blinking around and really taking advantage of these amazingly useful cliffs that are all around this map.
Exactly, and so the Warp Prism's coming out, and that will give him a vision of the high ground, so doesn't need no observer, and if he wants to get some reinforcements in, he can just warp up on the ledge as well. So it does look like Grubby wants to be aggressive during this game, but I have to wait and see.
I should give Vibe credit, I only caught the last second of it, but he had this really cute move where there was an Overseer that was being targeted down by a Stalker, and this kind of like pro tip where Stalker can't kill a Overlord before the transformation into an Overseer finishes, and so he just immediately hit the button with the Stalker shooting at it, the transformation completed, transformed into the Overseer, and he was able to just fly it away as it regen to full health, though actually missing a huge engagement right now. There's a whole bunch of warpins that's gone on right in the main of Vibe.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to take some drones out. Brilliant force fields, keeping those drones from escaping. That Zealot taking only 1 kill at the moment, but still Zealot's going down. The Queen going to start working on those Zealots, but without that extra attack on the in the air, he's not going to be able to take out that Warp Prism. He's going to pick up those 2 Zealots and get on out of there.
Yeah, unfortunately he does lose the Stalker, which is a little bit of unfortunate right there, but still got some pretty good harassment in right now. Just checking it out, Grubby has already killed 17 workers this game, to Vibe only managing to get 4. Also behind this aggression, Grubby feels comfortable trying to take that third base, which he definitely needs to be a little bit careful about, because right now Vibe is on 3 bases, also has the Spire on the way, so there could be a lot of harassment coming in. Also right now dumping a ton of money into a bunch of Hydralisks. If he wants to go aggressive right now, it could be very difficult to hold.
Yeah, we see the 4th base down for Vibe. I would love to see this a bit earlier, around the 10-minute mark, especially for Zerg. You want those bases up really quickly. Some cannons down at the 3rd base for Grubby, and nearly creating another choke, which I'd love to see, instead of just dropping down cannons and leaving that open to run-bys. But it looks like that Zergling will scout out that in the base coming up.
Huge engagement in the top right corner, though, as all the Blink Stalkers are able to get between the bases, utilizing that nice little blink in between all of the, in that kind of middle base area. There's also a bunch of units that got dropped out of the Warp Prism right there, so there were a couple of losses inflicted right now. Just once again checking the workers killed tab again. Yeah, 2 more workers ended up going down, and a pretty solid engagement from Grubby right there, but I don't think quite as effective as he'd necessarily been hoping.
Yeah, in the bottom right corner we do have 9 Zealots just kind of chilling out at a potential 5th base, and it looks like we're just waiting for them to run into the base and get some nice damage. But with those 3 Spine Coils at the 3rd base of Vibe, the Zealots are not going to do anything. But if they can be lifted up with the Warp Prism or something like that, they will be able to do a ton of damage with that +1 attack.
Oh, and now the Blink Stalkers are moving right in to get off a couple pot shots at those Roaches, which does force them all the way back into the 3rd base. Grubby is doing an amazing job of keeping the supplies nice and even right now. A nice little pick-off with the Overseer and Hydralisk getting that one Observer, so that right now Grubby can't keep constant vision on what's going on. But really, at like 130 supply against 150, when Vibe doesn't have a lot of the high-tech units out, like the Infestors or things like that, that would give you a distinct advantage against Protoss, it's looking pretty darn good for Grubby as he moves even into Colossus and Templar tech.
Yeah, we see the the sentries in the bottom right corner just working on that assimilator. Really needs a Zealot warp in, but it looks like those that Warp Prism will be not cleaned up, but will be forced to retreat with those 2 sentries in it. It was definitely an opportunity, but so many cannons at the 3rd base for Grubby, and Pylons going down. It's not a solid wall, but it's definitely going to inflict massive errors with the AI of these units.
I'm really glad that Grubby has all of these photon cannons, because obviously if you can afford not to make static defense, you always want to, but that often leads to players, including myself, getting really greedy and just deciding, like, I just need like 1. But where was that Nidus Worm? Oh, it's right now in the bottom left-hand corner as Vibe is really trying to circumvent that whole defense I'd just been talking about. A ton of additional pylons and cannons going down right now in the 3rd base, but really all these Roaches getting into perfect position to deny all mining out of the 3rd base of Grubby.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a brilliant move as he does not have any vision of that top expansion there. Those Roaches just kind of try and target down the expansion, but I'm sure that's definitely not the best thing that they could be doing, maybe getting some probe kills, but no, they decided just to be cleaned up, and not a lot of damage taken by Grubby. And we do see Vibe, his minerals are absolutely skyrocketing, and he really needs to be dumping them or getting a lot of lava up, but he needs to do something with that money.
Yeah, there's simultaneously another Nidus Worm that just came up. However, it looks like Grubby does have everything he needs to respond right there, getting out a whole bunch of Zealots and Stalkers. He really needs to target it down, though, as right now there's a bunch of Roaches that we're able to already get out. And so, but even as that one Nidus Worm is cleaned up, another one's being planted down, and really these Roaches are starting to do some great focus firing. Action just all over the map as the bottom left-hand Nidus Worm has been cleaned up, but Vibe is just not relenting with this pressure.
Definitely, we need to see more bases out for Vibe if he's going to be trying to do this pressure. Another Nidus Worm goes up, some more Roaches, only 1 manages to get out, and these units should be cleaned up, but with that focus fire by those Roaches, you're going to be able to take out that Zealot, or with the Colossus coming in, that should help to take out those final units in the main base of Grubby.
I think, though, that one Roach did end up seeing the High Templar that are moving out, which is going to be pretty good scouting information, though definitely not what Vibe was quite hoping to get out of that attack. And right now, it seems that Grubby really is feeling the pressure to go. And honestly, this is not a very large force out of Vibe right now. Also, not very good at dealing with it. He currently has to face those Colossus are incredibly effective against the Hydralisks, as are the High Templar. And just taking a quick look at the unit tabs right now, there's only 4 Infestors out on the field, and the Greater Spire isn't done yet. This is a perfect timing attack.
This is exactly what he needs. He needs to get. He's going to blink in to be able to soak up some of that damage, and those Colossus just doing massive amounts of damage to those Hydralisks, and those Zealots just tearing through. Storms going down on the Hydras. There's so much damage output for Grubby at the moment, and he needs to see some focus firing on those Structors as they're just taking out Colossus left, right, and center. So many Spine Crawlers down up the expansion of Vibe.
Yeah, just trying to do anything that he can to delay right now. 33 Roaches in production, but even if all of those Roaches are able to clean up this attack, which I'm honestly not wholly convinced of, it's already done exactly what it needed to do, as there's just not all that much money available for Vibe to go for a whole bunch of Broodlords, that unit, the OP one. No, I'm just kidding, everybody. But to go for all the Broodlords that he wanted to create using all of the Corruptors that are now dead.
Yeah, definitely. But he does have a lot of minerals banked up, so he can smash some Zerglings. As he is still in as a supply lead at 170 supply to 145 with that of Grubby. But the only problem is there's the same amount of expansions. We do see a Nidus Worm in the bottom left-hand corner for the expansion of Grubby, and he's going to have to deal with it. But 3 photon cannons should be enough, just out of the range though of those photon cannons, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I also love this dual prong blink stalker harassment that's going on from Grubby right now. Is in the bottom right hand corner. He has a whole bunch of them just moving in to harass that base. They will need to pull away from this. A huge swirl of roaches comes in. Unfortunately, I think that Grubby is too busy dealing right now with that Nidus worm to really get all of the micro out of it. Oh, it's, yeah, unfortunately losing a large number of them. But he was simultaneously poking around right around the natural of Vibe, really just keeping the pressure on. And you can see it in the supplies right now. We're at 169 to 169.
Exactly those same supplies looking out. We do have a probe lead for Grubby, and that's going to be so good, especially as he moves to take another base. Going to put him on the same number of bases as Vibe, and this is not what he wants to be doing. This is not the best thing to be going up against. You want at least 1 base. If not, if you can get 2 up and you can hold it, that's brilliant. But you need to be able to spend your money and get as much gas as you can.
Yeah, though right now those Broodlords are joining the fray, as we can already see that 6 of them are done and 4 more are on the way. There's not many infestors to support them, but this ground army might be big enough if I can just hold on for another couple seconds while he tries to get the Broodlords on the field and into position. We can see them floating up right now out of the natural, but already that, right now it looks like 5th base had to be cancelled, and the Storms are doing just work on that ground army, really thinning it out, so that the Blink Stalkers will be effective against the Broodlords later.
Yeah, really need to see a big blink in, and they will be able to take out all 6 of those Broodlords, with another 3 joining the battle, but like, he does not have enough infestors to be able to support this, but it looks like Grubby's just going to pull back. He managed to force the cancel on that 5th base, and that's really all he wants to do, but it looks like he's going to go in to the 4th base of Vibe and just try and do some damage with so many spine crawlers, just pounding, headbutting all those stalkers down.
I really, really like the spine crawler animation. It's like you can feel every hit jabbing right in. But yeah, Grubby is unfortunately forced to pull back yet again. Another Nidus Worm. I think I can definitely understand why, even though it's a little bit of an older game, Grubby really wanted people to see it. This is amazing play out of both players. And all of these Zerglings targeting down the robotics bay.
They will see the Void Ray being popped out, so we might see more Corruptor being spawned, but it looks like he's going to manage to deny that 5th base of Vibe again in the top right-hand corner, and this is just exactly what Grubby wants to be doing. He's in a supply lead by a 2. Now, you know, there's an engagement in the center of the map, but he's going to be forced to retreat. Those Broodlords just doing so much damage to those Stalkers, but they should be okay, because he's got all those High Templar. There's going to be so many Storms out. He needs to warp into some more Stalkers, and those Broodlords are gone. There's no support for them. There's 2 infestors with no energy on them.
Yeah, now as we're moving into the 25-minute mark of the game, we can see these Broodlords have totally gained dominance of the middle of the field. And we're used to seeing on this map there being a really big split down the middle of the map. There's some really, really good trades for Vibe right there, sacrificing a bunch of his kind of obsolete roaches to pick off some High Templar, which is very, very nice play out of him. He wanted to lose that supply anyway so that he could rebuild with more Corruptors and more Broodlords, and that was exactly what he wanted to kill in exchange for it. But right now this positioning is really not the best for Grubby, as there's this high ground that these Broodlords are totally abusing, making sure that there's no blink that's going to be coming under them anytime soon.
We see in the bottom right-hand corner, we did see during that engagement, a contingent of Stalkers moved in, managed to pick off the base, and Vibe's just getting out-microed, really. He's still now down to equal number of bases while he was able to take out the bottom expansion for Grubby, but losing that base is extremely detrimental, and this base...
Oh, huge blink underneath, trying to get at least some damage in on those Broodlords. I'm just not sure it's going to be enough right now, though the Void Rays are getting targeted down. However, slowly but surely, there's just not enough Broodlords. Checking it out, there's only 6 currently remaining, but the Broodlings, with just checking out the upgrades real quick, something we haven't talked quite as much about. They don't actually have any melee upgrades, but they have 2 armor, meaning that they don't get cleaned up very easily by anything like the Colossus. And so, barely, though, Grubby is managing to hold on. There's just a lot of Corruptors on the field right now that have not been transformed. They're too busy dealing with the Void Rays.
Yeah, and with all these Stalkers on the field, there's just nothing to put damage output onto Grubby's army. This one Broodlord doing so much damage, but getting transfused even by those Queens, and they're just a blink under will be able to take out that Broodlord. No more Broodlords. Those Corruptors, what are you going to do against You're going to go corruption. There's still not enough units to do any damage to those of Grubby.
Yeah, and you can see that the huge bank Vibe had been enjoying has been largely churned through. He's at like 1k right now. That's definitely a lot of money, but it's just not enough to replenish a full Broodlord armies. Those units are just so expensive. Like, there are right now 7 in production as he's using up the last of his corruptors, but basically he's bankrupting Vibe right now. And as you said, with the bottom right-hand base going down right now, the 4th base that was attempting to be taken in the middle right-hand location also being denied. And even the Blinkstalkers moving in to take out the spawning pool. This is really, really looking bad for our Blue Zerg hero.
Yeah, especially now he's down to 3 bases, only 1 mining. I wouldn't even call that mining, and long distance mining throughout. I'm saying mining too much, but those stalkers will be cleaned up. It doesn't matter. He's got slightly much of a bank. He's on mining bases. He can just keep managing to harass everything at Vibe, pulling him away, and he just won't be able to deal with it. Yes, he has Broodlords on the field, but what's good Broodlords if they have no support and no army? Vibe needs another base, or to be at least hold something from this Stalker harass. Maybe more Spine Crawlers. I'm not sure what he can do, but more Zealots or Stalkers moving into the bottom right-hand corner are going to try and look for a base to be taking out, but there's just nothing there.
Yeah, and it's looking like this is kind of the last push out of Vibe moving through the middle of the map right now. He does have a pretty solid force. There are right now 8 Broodlords on the field, a solid number of Roaches. Taking a quick look at the unit tab right now, it's 22 Roaches and 4 Infestors, all with enough energy for just about a Fungal. Looks like he will probably be able to deny this attempt at a 5th base coming out of Grubby. I'm just not sure that he's going to have enough, though, as the supplies are currently just about even, and you never want that when Roaches are a huge amount of your army composition.
Yeah, we see more Stalkers in the bottom right-hand corner, moving in some target out down those head button static defensing, and he should be able to take that 3rd base out, and he's just getting torn apart. With no bases left mining, he's just got to have to take out these Stalkers and maybe push as soon as possible, but being torn apart, he's just being picked apart by Grubby's amazing multitask.
I absolutely love Grubby's play right here. For example, you can see it right now in the top right-hand base. 3 Blink Stalkers have an unfortunate blink right there and do end up getting cleaned up. But he just sent in 3 Blink Stalkers knowing that his opponent was already so out of position that even that small force was enough to get some harassment in. He knew that he didn't need like 15 Blink Stalkers in order to get in and kill bases, whatever. He just went in, picked off a couple drones, and aside from that unfortunate little misclick right there, would have been able to just kind of leave with them as soon as he decided that he didn't like the engagement that was upcoming. And so, like, Grubby, just all the little things that he's doing, for example, like having these patrolling Blink Stalkers so that there's no Nidus Worms down on in actually both his main base and in his 4th base. So, like, Grubby's such a great player, man. I'm loving watching this game.
Loving it too, and you've got all those Infestors out, and now it looks like they're just going to try and take center map control, and we may see a clash. So many Stalkers on the field, 2 Immortals, Archons, and there's going to be a massive blink under soon.
Actually, the Fungals are really keeping all these Blink Stalkers locked down. The Archons have already gone down. One thing that Grubby hasn't done is that there's no Mothership on the field, so it is looking like he can probably muscle his way through, having to blink back, and all of those High Templars getting eaten alive by the Broodlings. Vibe actually coming out pretty darn well in that engagement.
Yeah, coming out, but he's just be able to remax, and he's got this supply lead at the moment, 164 to 130, and no bank for either player, as Grubby is trying to take his 4th base as well as his 5th base, but it's also cancelled, and both players are just being completely mineral starved. Only 1 mining base now for Vibe in the top right-hand corner.
Oh, and the huge blink coming in, starting to target down all those Broodlords that had already been weakened by Storm. And yeah, we can just see the numbers plummeting right there. Vibe got the absolute best engagement he could have, but unfortunately it was just a little bit too far behind economically. He was even able to deny that base too, but as we can see right now, it's 159 to 99 supply, and I do think it will be curtains for Vibe pretty soon as this army is moving in to take out his last mining base in the middle right-hand upper side.
Yeah, that's great, and we do have 4 Infestors, but they're not going to be able to save anything. Even those eggs are going to be killed off. He's just not going to have anything to help defend. Hatchery's going up in the bottom right-hand corner, but it's just too late, too little too late.
Yeah, and so like really though, I love Vibes, like the fight that he has put up in this game, and I was that last engagement right around this kind of center Zelnaga watchtower. That was really, really amazingly well executed. He was consistently fungling all of the stalkers, meaning that they didn't blink effectively, and when they did blink, only like 4 of them ended up moving, which got instantly wiped out by all the broodlings. But really, just the harassment that's been going on from Grubby, as we can even see right here, is there's even more warpins going on in his main and stuff. It's that harassment and that multitasking that's really started to give him this game.
Yeah, and this is such a cute play from Grubby. There's a pylon in the top right-hand corner, being able to warp in with the vision from that observer. And just even little things like that, being there's an opportunity to draw his opponent out of position with the little army he has, and big fungal going down on some of those units, but it looks like some more infestors may go down.
Yeah, and a storm that's a little bit of a whiff, but I'm not sure it's even all that big of a deal. There's just so much stuff right now currently available. Though, actually, right now, Grubby deciding to back off. Oh, he lands an amazing storm that all of those roaches and hydras are forced to walk directly through, and I do think that's probably going to be it, as Vibe is at 50 supply against 166, has a couple of infestors with really no energy. And just looking at it right now, it's 28 drones against 86 probes. It's just not going to be, there's no way Vibe can keep up in the long term.
No way, especially with those 2 bases in the left and upper corner of the left-hand side of the map for Grubby, managing to be built, managing to stay up, and just now he's got 2 fully saturated mining bases as soon as those probes transfer. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we see 4 more Blink Stalkers moving up, and they're going to go into the bottom right-hand corner and take out that hatchery, and there's just nothing that Vibe can do. He doesn't have any units to deal with these.
Yeah, right now he's trying to get a little bit of harassment in, or when he decides to stop the infested Terrans in, he'll be trying to get a little bit of harassment in on that kind of upper left-hand, middle-ish base. It's hard to describe exactly what the position of that one is, but a whole bunch of infested Terrans being dropped down. All of these probes will pull away, though. I don't think he can quite target down the base with his number of infested Terrans. I do think that they will barely die just before, and actually, yeah, particularly with that Colossus coming in, he is going to be able to make sure that base will stay alive. A couple of probes killed right there, but really Grubby is wiping out the 3rd base of his opponent, and we get the GG well played.
Oh, Vibe, you're so crazy. You're so crazy. But, oh, that multitasking for Grubby, man, that was just absolutely impeccable. The pylons, the warp prisms, the blink harass, pulling Vibe apart, not being able to defend it, and only sending a couple of things. If they get cleaned up, yeah, so what? There's still 1 stalker there. That 1 stalker from Grubby is just going to pick apart your drone line, and he's just going to leave and be like, sup, son.
Yeah, Vibe also had some amazing multitasking too. I love the Nidus Worms being used effectively. It's so uncommon to see the Nidus Worm actually do real damage, but particularly the one in the bottom right-hand corner was very effective at getting in on that base and really denying a ton of the mining at Grubby's 3rd, and so absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to cast more of the games that Grubby has chosen to share with us.
Yeah, just really quickly on that Nidus Worm, I think when you're going for that Nidus Worm play, you have a window where you can pull your opponent out of position. Maybe they won't expect a Nidus Worm at X, but their army may be at Y, and you can take advantage of that. But as soon as they realize they can defend this easy with 1 or 2 Stalkers patrolling the main bases on the outskirts where their possible Nidus Worm could be, then you've locked that Nidus down. You've knocked that Nidus play down, and so you need to really take advantage of that window that you have. And Vibe did do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just want to give a quick shout out to Zeke.tv, which is a group that both myself and CIAChris are casting for. We're definitely looking for other casters, particularly those who can stream. If you're interested in that, send an email to veralyn@zeke.com, which is VERALYNN at Z33K.com.
Yeah, man. And if you can follow us on Twitter, you can find Senex at WiseOldSenex even, and myself at CIAChris. And would love to have you.
Alright, and with that, we'll be moving probably onto another game momentarily, and we'll see you all next time.